Hey, how's it going, everyone? So, very exciting news. I waited a little bit to announce this, and I want to get into that in a second. But based on the title, you probably already noticed me and my wife are expecting our first child. This ultrasound was done at 20 weeks right here. And a more recent one, let's see, kind of see the... Oh, we're having a girl, by the way, and see the feet right there. So she's right now 22 weeks, which is about, what is that, 5.5 weeks into the, 5.5 weeks, 5.5 months into the pregnancy. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired. And we went to a second or a third ultrasound today at 22 weeks before I wanted to announce this. And this video is all good news, so I don't want to make it sound all negative, but I want to tell you what's been going on behind the scenes. So we definitely wanted a child. This was planned a little bit quicker than I anticipated, but I'm very, very happy, or me and my wife are very happy. So her first trimester went by like this. She had zero nausea. You know, she's hardly gained any weight, and everything's just smooth sailing. Did like blood tests, did the routine checkups, and everything's good. And then at 20 weeks, that was the first major ultrasound that we went to, and we went over some numbers right here. And or I take that back. These numbers were actually, yes, this was at 20 weeks. I apologize again for my lack of detail. So we had the test at 20 weeks, and the doctor comes in, and well, first it was the sonographer, and they were taking a little bit longer than normal. I mean, I am in the medical field, I'm not in ultrasound, but things were getting a little bit fishy. So I didn't think much of it. And then after the ultrasound, the sonographer said that the doctor will be coming in and talk about the results. And she, I don't want to show everything, but she has a piece of paper right here, and she goes over all the good news, which is good news. And the prenatal screening results was for Down syndrome risk assessment. It's screen negative, which is wonderful. And based on the patient's age and test results, her mid-trimester risk is 1 in 60,000 for Down syndrome, a risk assessment, which is wonderful, very, very low. The risk is lower than this program's Down syndrome cutoff, which is 1 in 200 at mid-trimester. So the cutoff is 1 in 200, and my wife is at 1 in 60,000 chance of Down syndrome, so that's wonderful. The Trisomia 18 risk assessment screen was negative. Her risk is less than 1 in 100,000. Spectacular. This risk is lower than the program's Trisomia 18 cutoff of 1 in 100 at mid-trimester, so wonderful once again. And the risk assessment for the Smith-Lamille-Opitz syndrome, chromosome abnormalities, parentheses SCD, it's also negative, and her mid-trimester risk for that was less than 1 in 10,000, and this risk is lower than the program's cutoff of 1 in 250. And the open neural tube defect risk assessment, and it was negative as well. So after all that, we were, very happy. And at 20 weeks during that ultrasound, they told us what we're having. That was our choice, which was a girl. And my wife, of course, we just want a healthy baby, but she was leaning towards a girl, and I was kind of leaning towards a girl. So we're going to have our first daughter. So anyways, after all that, we were very ecstatic, very happy. And then all of a sudden, the doctor was looking over the ultrasound as well inside the room, and she started breaking down the news, and she had said that there was a real small, very, very small, could have been an artifact or a speck, and it could be possible something called ASD. Now, I'm not going to get too in depth with this, and forgive me, but if you want to go online and check it, that's fine, because I'm not a cardiologist or a doctor. But ASD is basically stands for an atrial septal defect, ASD, and in the most basic terms, without boring you guys and gals to death, when the baby is forming with their heart, there's a heart right here, and there's a right and left atrium, and there's a middle portion right here that separates the two. Now, as a baby's starting to begin forming, that little barrier between the right and left atrium should be there. But if there's a very small hole that doesn't separate the right and left atrium, the portions of the heart, that can compromise some of the oxygen and blood flow. And what that can do, essentially, in layman's terms, is that it can kind of like cross-contaminate the right and left atrium. It's kind of like overworking itself. And ultimately, what that can do is that can compromise vital organs, your brain, and other parts. And usually, typically, it's a hole there, and then it usually will close up. So at 20 weeks, the doctor noticed she couldn't tell. It was very hard to tell that if our daughter was going to have an ASD, because she's like, it's really hard to see at 20 weeks. So she decided to send us to another specialist, which was today. And we got an echocardiogram to check for that at 22 weeks, because you can definitely see more as the baby's getting bigger. So we went today, and yeah, I was definitely a little nervous as she was doing the ultrasound. And nothing, I don't take anything for granted. But after she looked at all the scans, nothing's 100% perfect, but she was very, very confident that we're going to have a healthy baby, and that's the most important thing. And I'm very happy and relieved as well, because after the first ultrasound at 20 weeks, where we noticed that she could have an ASD, it kind of hits you out of nowhere, and it kind of took me back a little bit. I will admit, kind of out of nowhere. But this is a happy story, so I'm so happy once again having our first daughter. So stay tuned to the channel. It's definitely still going to be health and fitness related, but the little baby sanitary will be, we're due in April, a little bit before tax day, like April 13th. So she's right on the schedule. Probably going to be extremely tired and sleep deprived, but it's 100% going to be worth it. And I will need advice from you guys and gals, because I know a lot of you guys and gals out there are older than me and or even if you're not, you have a lot of experience with kids, because I have none. So that's it. I'm very happy to share the good news. I've obviously told my immediate family members, but I haven't really said anything with my coworkers or with social media, because outside of YouTube making content, I'm not really on social media that much anymore. It's just not really my thing. But I may make a small announcement on my personal Facebook and probably my Instagram. So that's it. Yeah, it's gonna be a game changer for sure. But it's the next chapter in me and my wife's life. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be challenging. I will take parenting very seriously. Some people don't, but I definitely am. I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm going to 100% try my best to be the best father that I could be. So that's it, and I'll keep you updated. Bye.